The people that are talking about a crash today, I always wonder, well, doesn't a crash have to have defaults? Doesn't a crash have to have a lot of foreclosures? Doesn't the crash have to have a deep, deep discount and a lot of MLS? You have to have a oversupply problem for a price correction. We're just not there. Right now, we are just under 1 million listings, which is the low number of pre-pandemic. So pre-pandemic was 1 million to 1.2 million. We're at 1 million. Is it possible that we have more on the MLS and more inventory? Of course, right? It's definitely possible. But what we really have, the real issue today, is the people who own homes. 80% of the people that own homes have a mortgage rate under 6%. So that's the real issue. So you've got all these people with all this equity. Prices went up to $415,000. Now they have come down to about $4,000. But in 2019, they were $300,000. So think about that. In 6 years, home prices went from $300,000 to $400,000. Now this is national, of course. So you've got all this locked in equity, and these people have these low rates, 3%, 4%, 5%. They're not going anywhere because their payment's so low. So they have what I call trapped equity. It's really like piggy bank money, right? It's almost like a savings in their house. They're not going to take out $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 at a 6 or 7% rate when they've got a 4. They're just not, because it costs them a lot. So they're sitting there, and this is precisely what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to unlock the equity sitting in all the single-family homes, which is smart, because if he's able to do that, what's going to happen? Realtors are going to benefit. Title companies will benefit. Mortgage companies will benefit. Renovation contractors will benefit. Subcontractors will benefit. Realtors will benefit. Not to mention the fact, what are they going to do with that money, right? They're going to go buy RVs. They're going to go buy boats. They're going to renovate kitchens. They're going to do all that stuff. So there's trillions of dollars sitting in people's equity in their homes. The real story of all of this is, how do they unlock that? Because if they unlock that, the economy really starts to hum again.
You've been in this business for a long time. What about the affordability side of it? For people that want to buy and the incomes don't justify the housing payments, how does that equation?
This is my biggest frustration. I'm in the rental business. So right now, a mortgage payment is, on the average, is about $2,700, and rent payment is about $1,700. Now, why is that important? It's important. That's the average. It's important because it's $1,000 more a month to make that jump. So when they start to get even, right, then when the mortgage payment can come down to $1,700, then all of a sudden they're like, okay, it's better to buy than to rent. Right? So that's what Trump's trying to do. There's all this discussion about a 40-year mortgage, a 50-year mortgage. There's a portable mortgage. You can move your VA loan around. You can use your 401k as a down payment. We're going to release federal land. This all has to do with affordability. He's absolutely going to make this a big deal this year, in my opinion. And I think that whatever he does is going to be positive, because the right thing to do, and my 2 boys are in this situation right now. They're both in their 20s. They're stuck in rentals, and they're saving money. They're frugal. They're saving money. But the jump for them to be able to buy a home is so large that the amount of money that they have to save is a lot. It's a huge stretch. And so we have to figure something out to where you have access to your retirement accounts without getting penalized, because it's your money, for example, or the payments are less. I always go back to cars. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, when I went and financed a car, it was 36, 48 months. Now it's 72, 84, even over 100 months. Why is that? Because the psychological barrier of a car payment, $400, $500, that's a psychological barrier. All they're really doing is pushing out the payment longer, right? And it's also keeping you at the dealer in the car longer, but that's a different story. But the point is, that's, I think, what he's trying to do. He's trying to push that payment out, because if that payment can be $2,700 and we can make it $2,000, all of a sudden, that's huge. And so the people that are now being forced into the rental market will now at least be able to afford the monthly payment. And that's why at Davos, he said, We do not want a nation of renters. He's very specific about that. And I actually agree with him. I've done a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel that said we're heading toward a nation of renters. And it's true. And it's basically because of an affordability problem. But the right step is for people to move into an apartment, like probably a lot of people have done, save money, build credit, and then go buy a house and forever never rent again. Those are the right steps. And it's broken right now. And what he's recognized, and I think he's right, is that there's too many people that can't afford a home right now, and they're being forced to rent rather than to buy.
So in terms of supply, there are some thoughts about increasing the supply. Is it possible to build it at a lower price than the market rate?
It depends. The answer is yes, and there's for sure happening. People are for sure going to be building. What's crushing it right now are interest rates. Right now you can, let's say, buy a home and lock a rate in around 6%. A home builder, like if you look at Lennar, their public offering, their public statement, or their annual report, you'll see that they're doing rate buy downs, right? So the home builders are doing these big rate buy downs. And it's important. But here's the deal. If you own a 20, 30-year-old home that's $1 million, and I build $1 million new home here, and you have to pay $6, and I'm offering you $4 because I'm a new home builder, you're going to go here all day long. So that's actually very interesting right now. And what they're doing is they're jamming that through their marketing costs. But really, it's a reduction of price. That's all working its way through the system. If we're able to get interest rates down, which I believe we should, it's going to unlock all of this stuff, including home building. And the biggest cost of a home is actually the financing. $1 million home is going to maybe cost $600,000 or $700,000 in cost at an interest rate. So if that's 1 or 2 or 3% less, it's a huge savings to the, all of a sudden you've got some wiggle room there, right?
For the builder.
Yeah, for the builder, right?